Welcome to Unibet's Inside the Octagon. I'm John Gooden with our resident expert analyst, Dan the Outlaw Hardy. The time for speculation is over. Uriah Faber and Frankie Edgar will now put their mutual respect aside and meet as featherweights. It promises to be a fantastic debut event for the Philippines.
The wait is finally over.
What a roar from this crowd. Unbelievable action. Here we go, baby.
Big shots.
He's an animal.
Huge stakes.
Nice knee. Oh. Gotta watch the choke.
This is gonna get ugly.
How good is this?
The analytical breakdown is coming up. Plus, we'll be catching up with Barnatt as he prepares to face the Filipino wrecking machine, Munoz, in his swan song bout.
Nice and out.
Making myself faster, stronger, sparring with high-level competition gets you that one step closer to being a world champion. I surround myself with greatness so I can become that greatness. You know, that's my whole ethos on life, and I just want to get better and better every day.
So UFC Fight Night from the Philippines is Saturday, the 16th of May, headlined by Edgar and Faber. But Dan, what other bouts there really jump off the page for you?
A lot of them, to be honest. We've got Magny, who's on a 6-fight win streak. He's looking to put another win in that column. Obviously, Munoz, his last fight, I'm going to miss Mark, and I really hope to see a good performance from him. And Gegard Mousasi looking to kick his way into the top 5 in middleweight division. It's a great card.
Really good stuff. Headlined, of course, by Edgar and Faber. So we're going to get into the technical analysis for that one. Uriah Faber, this is his 40th professional contest. He's the former WEC featherweight champion, taking on the former UFC lightweight champion and featherweight title challenger. These guys are really top of the pile and super exciting to watch. I know we're going to take a closer look at Frankie Edgar now, and he's just a buzzy little guy, isn't he, with an iron will.
He is. This fight for me was as exciting to break down as it was challenging. I mean, both of these guys are very talented and very experienced. Yeah. The thing that stands out for me with Frankie Edgar is his footwork. And the commentators always talk about it when he's fighting. He has this sweeping movement, constantly back and forth, side to side. He's very good at staying in the pocket, but never settling in front of his opponent. You'll see this constant lateral movement, side to side. And watch, as he's moving now, watch Charles Oliveira's front foot. Every time Frankie Edgar steps, he has to readjust. Every time he has to readjust, he has to reassess his attack.
Sure.
And Frankie Edgar, obviously, is in control of this movement here. Again, with Cub Swanson, watch this beautiful slip from the uppercut here and gets behind Cub Swanson's back. Really nice. Just able to cut an angle on somebody very, very quickly and catch them with a shot or with a takedown that they weren't expecting, they couldn't prepare for. It's great footwork, it's really, really nice basic boxing, and not a lot of people use it as well as Frankie Edgar, and he has the hands to complement it as well. And obviously against a guy like Uriah Faber, who has a 0 to 60 like nobody else in the UFC, other than probably an early Vitor Belfort, you don't want to be standing too still in front of him because he will just charge you down against the fence.
Yeah. OK. So we have taken to the interweb and found a couple of questions for you, Dan. First up is from Johnny Doe. Who has the speed advantage and who has a grappling advantage?
Good questions. I'll come back to the grappling in a second. I'll cover that. The speed advantage, I can't help but give it to Uriah Faber. I know that Jose Aldo talked a lot about when Edgar came down to featherweight that he wouldn't have the advantage of speed that he had at lightweight. Admittedly, at lightweight, he was pretty fast in comparison, but at featherweight, I don't think he is. And obviously with Uriah Faber moving up from bantamweight, I just think he's naturally a faster athlete.
Sure.
And that really shows in his fighting style as well, because he is okay, he is comfortable to stand in front of his opponent. He doesn't mind standing still. He's not too interested in cutting angles like Frankie Edgar does. Because he believes in his takedown defence, because he believes in his wrestling ability to get back to his feet if he ends up there. And what it does is it puts his opponents under pressure all the time. Uriah Faber seems unpredictable. He always seems like he's ready to go. Always seems like he's ready to pounce. And because he has that 0 to 60 speed, it makes him dangerous, because coming over the top with the overhand right, which he's famous for, charging forward, finishing with a takedown and creating a scramble is where he's very dangerous. He brings a chaos element to the octagon, which a lot of people don't do. In this fight against Michael McDonald, this was a real demonstration of what Uriah Faber's capable of. And McDonald was a real tough test for him, I thought. And as soon as he caught him with that right hand, he knew he'd hurt him, charged forward, and just wrapped up that guillotine. And this is something we see a lot from the alpha male guys. Yeah. But Uriah Faber in particular has got a squeeze like nothing else. Like, I mean, I think 18 wins by a variety of different chokes on his record, all set up by that big overhand right. And watch his eyes here. Watch the moment when he realises that he's got Michael McDonald hurt. You'll see it in his eyes. There it is. Now he turns, he sees him, throws him to the fence. Watch this right hand that he places. Bang.
Lovely.
Now, if you watch that full speed, you can miss that. That can bypass you entirely because of the perfect placement. And Uriah Faber has that ability to stop, to spot the openings in the flurry, in that chaos, in that creative madness where he just charges forward. He'll see that opening and he'll make the most of it.
It'd be quite interesting to see what he brings with a little bit more time with Martin Kampmann as well, who he's now paired up with. So that could add some differences. So to get around that, you've obviously got to have pretty good boxing. And if one man's got good boxing in that division, it's Frankie Edgar.
It is. And for the first time in his career, he will have a reach advantage. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage.
He's been a bigger guy,
Yeah, exactly. And he has great placement. He throws punches in bunches. He's good at keeping his head out the way when he's throwing a combination. Even if he misses with the first 2 or 3 punches, one of them is going to get through. 2 slips, beautiful head movement there against BJ Penn. And Frankie Edgar does a wonderful job of punching his way out of the clinch. Very Vanderlei Silva style against Guy Mezger. Punching his way out of the clinch is going to be a big thing because Uriah Faber is going to be trying to get that head snapped down so he can get some pressure on him.
Yeah, OK. Well, another Twitter question for you, Dan, and it's from Stefan Timmer. Can any of the 2 men take the other man down, or will the takedown defence be too good on both sides?
Again, a good question, and really a question that we can't answer until we see these 2 guys compete, which is what makes this sport so exciting. Obviously, both guys have got a real strong wrestling pedigree. Frankie Edgar's very good at chaining things together. He's very good at getting that body lock and staying on his opponent. Obviously, Uriah Faber's much more opportunistic, as I was saying. He'll catch people in a scramble, a trip, a throw, whatever. He'll catch people unawares, whereas Frankie Edgar, you can know exactly what Frankie Edgar's going to do and he's still going to do it.
Yeah, OK.
And once he gets this body, look at that beautiful little trip on BJ Penn. Nobody does that to BJ. But it's the body lock. Watch this. Watch how he moves around Cub Swanson. He's like a satellite. He orbits him. Look, and again, he's going to spin around him one more time and he puts him on the floor. Just relentless. Once that body lock's in, it's so difficult to get him off. And credit to Cub Swanson here for trying to stay on his feet. He does a great job. And the only time there's that body lock, the only time he lets go of it is to give Cub Swanson a little pop in the face to get his hands off the mat. So watch this. Cub Swanson bumps him forward, pressure on the hands, little pop, and then switches to a double leg. Yeah. Just chaining these things together is wrestling for mixed martial arts that we don't see very often. I mean, a George St. Pierre kind of wrestling game, this is really. Good top position, great ground and pound, good at putting pressure on people. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be able to do this against Uriah Faber because Uriah Faber is very explosive, very good in the scramble. And it may be Uriah Faber chasing the takedown in this fight, given the fact that Frankie Edgar's got a reach advantage. We don't know. But one thing that we do know is that both of these guys are so capable that might just nullify each other's takedowns. This might be a case of kickboxing with no shots at all. And that makes it quite exciting, but that does make it very much a who lands first kind of fight. And I would like to see takedowns from both guys as well, just to keep it more dynamic. Yeah,
I'm sure they're very well-rounded and both sort of Division 1 wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Uriah Faber, I mean, when he has been taken down, he's never been controlled there. And I don't think he's been submitted either. So, you know, that's a confidence in his mind, but something that Edgar's got to consider as well.
Definitely. Well, I mean, Uriah Faber's a little ball of muscle, isn't he? Muscle and energy. So to try and hold him down is ridiculous. Now watch how he charges forward. He, like I was saying, opportunistic. A beautiful trip there. And kind of like Frankie Edgar, when he does catch a leg, he will make the most of it. He will throw punches over the top. He will chase it till he gets the trip. Obviously, with Frankie Edgar dealing with guys, you know, Renzo Gracie, jiu-jitsu guys, obviously good boxers who he's working with, they may not be able to mimic this chaos that Uriah Faber can create. And this is what I was talking about, catching a leg. He landed a couple of these punches cleanly, but nothing enough to really do any damage. It was in the scramble, though, where he took the back of Caceres and trapped an arm at the same time. Beautiful technique. Really, really nice. All from that opportunity where he caught the kick, you'll see it again here, catches the kick, keeps him off balance and keeps him pushing forward. And a lot of the time, when a fighter finds himself in that position, they'll catch a leg and they'll freeze. They'll question it, they'll try and pick a technique to do in the head. Uriah Faber is in a constant flow, he's very, very present.
Very forward motion, isn't it?
And misses that one, pushes him down to the floor, and then as soon as he's on top, he's immediately scrambling for the back as Alex Caceres is trying to get up. And like I said, trapped the arm in the scramble and got the finish without any real resistance. A beautiful performance from Uriah Faber, and something that is very reminiscent of all of his fights, that opportunity to burst on his opponent and take the neck.
Yeah, and those bursts of energy, as you were saying, that 0 to 60, and then Frankie Edgar, that red line for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
We've got some factual information. Let's take a look at the stats between these two. And we see the 3rd greatest number of significant strikes, a lot of takedowns, a lot of good defence, and they kind of just match up very well. Perhaps Frankie Edgar, though, with the more significant stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's had the more marquee fights in the UFC. Obviously, he's fought BJ Penn a few times. He had fantastic fights with Gray Maynard, real, top-level opponents. And obviously, Uriah Faber's, he's moved around weight classes a couple of times, and although he's been in the sport a long time, he's not really established himself as well as Frankie Edgar in the UFC. Yeah.
Well, you have, however, spotted a slight chink in the armour, which would be something useful for Frankie to take a look at, and for Uriah as well. So go ahead.
Well, this is for both guys. It's kind of my underdog tip. So in this situation, I think Uriah Faber is probably going to be the underdog in this fight, according to the odds. So it was just something that I've picked out, something that would fit nicely into Uriah Faber's game, given the fact that he does fight in bursts. And this is not necessarily a criticism to Frankie Edgar. All fighters make small mistakes, but this is something that I've seen him do consistently. Now, one thing, basic boxing, one thing that we don't do is cross our feet. Now, it's important in boxing because it leaves you off balance, but in mixed martial arts, there are so many other reasons to not cross your feet. Obviously here, I'm open to low kicks, I'm open to takedowns, and with the bull rush that you get from Uriah Faber, if his feet are in a line, he could potentially get pushed back and taken down. I'm going to show you these videos just to kind of back up my argument. So let's have a quick look at this footwork from Frankie Edgar, and usually his footwork's beautiful, but watch the front leg crossing over.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this, especially given the fact that he's pretty much in punching range with a guy as fast as Aldo, and with a guy like Uriah Faber, who is going to be as quick. It's just a risk that he doesn't need to take again, crossed over there. And if you watch the Aldo fight in its entirety, Aldo starts to pick up on this, starts to focus on that front leg. Now, in that instance, it wasn't too bad because Frankie Edgar managed to pick it up, but you can see how it turns his body. See how it knocks him off balance. Just there it is again. And the next one actually knocks him down to a hand. And this is all due to the fact that as he's moving, as he's stepping, he just crosses that foot over. Yeah. It's a very, very simple thing, a very basic thing, and it's something that really needs to be avoided when you're in striking range, particularly against a guy as quick as Uriah Faber. So move the leg in the direction of what you want to go to first. There you go, John. Boxing 101, but he gets away with it. Thanks, Dan. So it's East Coast meets West Coast in this keenly anticipated contest. Will Frankie Edgar put himself in contention for another tilt at the featherweight title, or will Uriah Faber find a permanent home in this division? Who do you favour to have their arm raised, and how do you see the fight finishing? As always, there are odds to be found on every round, and it's all brought to you by Unibet. Watch and bet live with Unibet, the official betting partner of the UFC. And of course, there are plenty of other fights on the main card. And with that in mind, one of the guys that will be fighting in Manila is going to join us via the marvel of technology right now at Inside the Octagon. A first for us, Dan. Please welcome Luke Barnatt. Luke, thanks for joining us. How are you getting on?
I'm very well, mate. I'm sitting here I'm already here over in the Philippines. I'm in Makati, sitting in a restaurant with my fiance. We just had a beautiful tiger prawn dinner.
Are you allowed to have such wonderful feasts at this time of the camp?
My weight is in incredible shape. I'm super light. Obviously, I was meant to be fighting Quinn Hester, and I had a 6-week camp for him, and then I had an additional 6-week camp for Mark. So I'm in the shape of my life, and I can very little bit of room to tiger balls.
So tell me, what's it like preparing for a guy that you know is retiring? I mean, I was in that situation once before, and it can make it a bit strange, a bit bittersweet if you get the win. What are your thoughts about Mark Munoz and his retirement?
You know, the whole thing about him retiring, it's like he's already got a foot out the door. He's already ready to leave. It just puts a bit of extra pressure on me, I feel, to have to make sure I make it look like he's ready to leave. You know, I'm sure Mark Munoz is looking to go out with bangs. And I just need to make sure I'm the guy holding the gun. The first round is ultra important in this fight. If I can build the aggression early and I can put him on the back foot, I think I can get a finish in the first round.
We've seen that you've been doing a diary project with Unibet, actually, which has made some really good viewing. I think we're on to episode 2 now. But let us know a little bit about the kind of focuses in terms of the disciplines you think are going to serve you well for this bout.
I mean, definitely wrestling. Wrestling is Mark's specialty. He's an NCAA champion, a very, very accomplished wrestler. But I think he doesn't transition it very well to mixed martial arts. He never has. I think that's where the missing link in his chain has been. So I've been working very, very closely in this camp with Phil Davis. We've been focusing on stopping Mark's takedowns, and if he does manage to get a takedown, working back to the feet safely and trying to avoid those Donkey Kong punches that he likes to throw. So that's why I've been working with Phil so closely to make sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us today and giving us a bit of an insight. We wish you all the very best for your upcoming fight, and remember to have lots of fun. So thanks again for joining us here on Inside the Octagon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you, and I'll see you when I'm back home.
And as we just alluded to there, Unibet have actually sent out a film crew to follow around Luke Barnatt during his preparations for his huge fight against Mark Munoz. And Dan, also on that card in the Philippines, there's some fantastic action, but what are your picks for us to be taking a close look at?
Well, the co-main event, Gegard Mousasi for a start, a mainstay in European mixed martial arts. Lots of experience on his record, pride fighting experience, getting a win over another Pride veteran here in Dan Henderson. A good win for his record. At the moment, he's ranked number 7. He's going to need a couple more of these big fights to take that step up and start competing in that top 5. Most definitely capable, definitely got the skills, just not quite realised it yet in his UFC career. Taking on Kostas Philipou, who's sitting just outside the top 10 at the moment at number 12. Big puncher, big power, and as you can see it with this fight against Lorenz Larkin, he can generate very, very short-range power in a big way and end fights. Jung Lim is taking on Neil Magny, who is a very, very tough test for him, in my opinion. 13-4 is Lim's record, coming in with 3 TKOs in his UFC record so far. A very strong physical specimen. He's going to be a test for Neil Magny, especially if he can close that range. As we know, Neil Magny's quite tall, quite lengthy. He put together 5 wins in 2014, which I'm sure upset Donald Cerrone somewhat. Can finish the fight wherever it goes. He's got good striking, he's quite unorthodox, he's got takedowns and a ground game. So a dangerous person for anybody in the division because he can test you wherever the fight goes. It's going to be a good test for Lim to see where he sits in that division, what with Neil Magny sitting at number 15 right now. Tae-Hyun Bang fighting out a Korean top team, a great prospect in this division, I think. He throws with immense power. He throws every punch like he's pitching a fastball. And obviously, we need to see other areas of his game be tested right now. We need to see what his ground game's like, and a good person to test that is going to be John Tuck, a good training partner of Ben Henderson, which is a great experience to have in the gym with him. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Abu Dhabi experience, a real threat on the ground for anybody in the division. So hopefully he can take some of that warrior culture that he talks about quite a lot into the octagon and get that big win for him.
Really exciting event in the Philippines, and there's lots more to look forward to as the eagerly awaited UFC 187 is just 1 week away. 2 championship bouts and a stacked main card. Chris Weidman defends his middleweight belt against Vita Belfort, and following John Jones sensationally being stripped of his title, Anthony Johnson will contest the vacant light heavyweight title against DC Daniel Cormier. Plus, fan favourite lightweight Donald Cerrone faces a late notice call-up in John McDessie. And you can get all the pre-fight odds with Unibet, the official betting partner of the UFC. We'll be back in 7 days' time to preview 187, so please keep those tweets coming in at Unibet using the hashtag InsideTheOctagon with any questions regarding those fights for Dan and I to muse over. And remember, you can watch Luke Bonnett's video diary, so please go to the address on the screen. Enjoy Edgar versus Faber, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.